Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. Always so happy to find you here. If you're a new subscriber, thank you for your subscription. I hope you stay for a good long while and bring a friend with you next time. As you know, I'm always encouraging us to have a courageous conversation, and particularly when it's at work and you feel like you almost have to walk on eggshells. I see that people they are unable to really, even professionally and comfortably, have a conversation. Now, why am I bringing this now? It's because I recently had, well, I'll say I recollected something that I thought would be worth sharing, and that is the listening skills part of the communication is as vital, if not more important, than the speaking skills. And that if you think you may have misheard or misinterpreted, to ask for your own clarity. Ask. I know that myself, I ask a lot of questions, not because I'm questioning the issue, but because I'm wanting to understand it better. I've always done that, even as a child. My mom used to tell my dad all the time, she questions everything. And my dad would say, no, she's trying to understand. So I have always been that way, where I just want to know more facts. I want to know more understanding. I want to make sure I got it. I want to make sure I got it right. I'm using this example as an applicant that we had. It really stuck with me. And it's when I first realized that people hear what they surmised more than what you actually said. And that became bothersome for me because it's hard to correct that, especially when you're dealing with adults. If you're at work, everybody's an adult, unless there's no child labor, unless there's working under a high school permit for a few hours a week, and that's it. But a regular job, an adult has that. You got to be at least 18 years old, and in some cases, 21 in certain places. But nonetheless, we had a unique um, position by which I was trying to help this company recruit for that position. And I did most of the screening for them. I did most, in other words, by the time the person sat down with them, the person was absolutely qualified for it. I did all the vetting. Oh, I did the vetting. I vetted it good. We had a person, and the person and this company were a great match. I would call it that would have been a good marriage. And the company wanted this person. It was a guy. He was African American. And not that those two qualifiers matter, but in this case they did. So they wanted him, and they reached out to me and said, hey, we really want to move forward with him. And I said, great, I'm glad. I'm so happy. I was excited to share with him. And I did that. I told him, you can take it from here. I already made my match in heaven. You could take it from here. Long story short, he never got hired. And it was as a result of the person, the finance person, to make the actual offer sat on it because they were at month end and they were busy balancing their book for month end. Meanwhile, when they finally circled back to him, he was gone on to something else. Now, I told you, I stepped out of it. I let him handle. In this case, I wish I had not. I wish I would have taken it cradle to grave, they would say, beginning to end, they would say, all the way across the finish line. They would say, and since then, I do that. So the operations person called me and said, hey, whatever happened to that guy? He didn't show up. And I said, you guys didn't make him an offer, according to him. Turns out, because she was so tied up in her month end, she didn't make him an offer for this unique position, and he had gone elsewhere. When I tried to circle back, and I was willing to snatch him back and say, how much would this cost us to get you back here? Because you're not loyal to this company yet. You just started there a few weeks ago. We'll give you X% more. Turns out he liked the new position, and he didn't like the way that that company had processed everything. And he went on to share that with me. So I shared it with the manager. I shared it with the operations manager, and I said, he didn't feel he had a good experience with you guys. And these are the reasons he told me. And I told them specifically. Now, remember, I'm talking about listening and hearing. I'm talking about listening and hearing to what a person says. So I communicated those things. Now, if you watch it in my videos, I always give 3 things, this, that, and the other. So I gave them his this, that, and the other. Turns out that it wasn't the first time this had happened, or the second, or the third. And the company had begun to see a pattern. And in the long run, they ended up dismissing the finance manager. And when they did that, that action of losing a good candidate stopped instantly. So you see, she had reported to them, according to the operations manager, she had reported to them that because he had an elite educational background, he wouldn't want the position. Now, where did that come from? I asked them. She had never reached out to him. She found out that she was in trouble, and she created a reason why a person wouldn't want that position for that amount of money without any negotiation. It was in her own head. So again, the reason she said he didn't accept the position is because he had an elite education and he wouldn't be interested in that amount of money. Who are you to make such a summation? You didn't have a conversation with him. He never told you that. These are your thoughts, which cost him that great position and cost you your job. So be careful when you speak for another person, or when you even put yourself in the framework and the mindset of what a person might say about a situation, because you might say that about a situation. The person may not even be thinking that way. So a person can come into a conversation or a situation, this what I call the situationship. What's today's situationship? By which they have made a summary, just like she did, as to what the person would do, but the person never did, because you didn't come for them. You didn't bring them into it. You made your own conclusion, and how wrong that was. So be very careful with that. Now, I have nothing to do with their actions with her. But as I said, it turns out she had done that a number of times, and they had begun looking at her some kind of way for the excuses for letting candidate after candidate go. What a waste of time, energy, effort, and good talent. So in my opinion, they were smart to let her go. She was a casualty. Okay, so be careful and ask the next question. Ask the next question if you have to go over somebody's head, particularly if it's a unique position by which you're interested in yourself. If you've gotten this far, please click like, please click subscribe, leave a good comment if you're going to comment, and I'll see y'all next time. I love you. Bye. Have a good day. Subscribe. Click subscribe. Bye.